Yo, Tico, what up?
What the fuck? I'm FaceTiming you. I'm here.
Oh, you're here?
Yeah, tell her to come in. Everything should.
All right, so come upstairs and
Where?
Straight back.
straight back.
Huh?
Come upstairs and come straight back.
206, I think.
206.
Hold on. Let me get out the car.
You
'Cause
see-
you're on my Bluetooth.
Oh, okay.
All right. I'm going to mute this. You see Tiffany's lost right now.
Where am I going?
Welcome to Ella on the Rise. We're here with the hottest talent on Long Island. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and shout out to everyone who has. Today's guest works at Hot 97. Please introduce yourself, man.
Hello. I'm Hip Hop Mike, a.k.a. Mike Turk, a.k.a. Turkey, depending what part of Long Island you know me from.
Welcome to the
going
fucking
on, man?
pod, bro.
Yo, I appreciate y'all having me, man.
Absolutely.
No
appreciate
problem,
you coming
man.
out,
Yeah,
man.
thanks for coming out, dude.
Yeah, I was excited to do this. I'm sorry that I was running so late.
Hey, it's life, man.
It happens.
Life runs late.
That's
You
a
know what I mean?
fact. Yo, I'm on rap time, for real, for real.
Well, you're lucky you came so early then.
So what's popping, guys?
What's
So here's the thing, man. You have met and sat down with Rich the Kid,
I have.
YBN Namir,
Crazy.
Facts.
Ugly God,
Crazy.
Jesse Reyes,
Crazy.
ABG
Goat.
Neal, Gunna, Young Band, Smoke Perp.
Damn.
A list.
I feel like
Laundry.
you guys make me sound so lit. That's crazy.
You are, bro.
It's crazy. The Instagram is fire.
Nobody's
Yeah.
ever listed it off to me like that. I'm actually out here. Jesse Reyes, like, yo, that's my favorite right there. Like, I still
Shout
can't
out.
even believe that I ever connected with Jesse Reyes. That was lit.
Shout out to Jesse Reyes.
And shout out to everybody else on that list,
Hell
too.
yeah,
That's
big
crazy.
So here's the thing, man. Like, sitting down with these people, talking with these people, is there something that they all have in common that led them to their success?
That's a tough one. This is a great question, though, that they all have in common. I think everybody's relentlessly themselves. I'd say that's like the one like string that I've noticed along the way is like every artist I sit with has always just been themselves. Like at least the more successful ones have always been like everybody on that list is like their own person. Nobody's really tried to compromise for anybody.
You feel like some of these local artists are not themselves?
I wouldn't say they're not themselves, but I think a lot of times the local artists don't realize that it's like in being yourself, you know, these waves kind of come and you have to just kind of figure out who you are and what your sound is. Is like, you know, if you're somebody that's always wearing Supreme, it's like you fit in with everybody, but it's like the person that's really about that life, you could kind of tell. So it's like same thing for artists. I think a lot of artists is like they want to be themselves, but they also know that the radio might be playing some trap-ish in the moment. And it's like they try and fit that mold thinking like that's the way that I'm going to be able to work myself into this. When really it's more so that like eventually we're going to stop playing trap and start playing whatever it is that is the next wave. And if that happens to be organically your shit, like that's the best way to hit it. But I mean, I think for the most part, what makes an artist is they want to be themselves. Like, I wouldn't call a lot of kids artists. So there's a lot of people that just make music that's not even like, I mean, it's not for me to say it's music or not, but like, there's a lot of kids that are just out here just doing the bare minimum for like the aesthetic.
Clout rapping.
Yeah,
Agreed.
and it's everywhere. It's not just locally, like as far as New York or Long Island. It's everywhere. Like people are trying to fit in for sure.
That's crazy too, because like you know, you work with Hot 97. You're probably all over this place with Hot 97. Like no joke, they
Yeah.
got you going all over the place. Now, do you see like a common theme between all local artists when it has to go from here to there, or is it like is the New York and Long Island specifically hip hop scene like its own entity in a way?
I think it's its own entity. I'd say I look at hip hop as far as like pockets of people like that. Like notoriously, if you look at the bigger artists, like if you look at a dude like Drake, for example, he's from like a suburb of Toronto, right? And it's like you look at a lot of these artists that are like from LA, they're from like Compton, things like that, but they're not in like Hollywood. And it's like always something that's just slightly removed from like the bigger thing where the creativity I think comes from. So I think in New York, as far as like Long Island artists, I think we have some of the best talent in the world.
Dead ass.
But at the same time, I think that we lack the hunger for knowledge. Like, I don't think everybody's trying to be like super knowledgeable and hungry. I think we take for granted a little bit being in the shadow of like the greatest city ever. and kind of expect a lot of things to happen just off of where we're at, as opposed to like trying to work networks that are maybe like for example, like Live Like Davis has a huge following in London, right?
Shout out Live Like
Shout out to
Davis.
Live
Big up my guy Live. He has a huge following in London. We'd be ignorant to not try and tap into that, you know? And it's like, obviously there are people in New York and Long Island that are tuned in, and like we do a lot of stuff out here, but like you have to look at the big picture. And I think kids in New York, a lot of them don't look at that big picture. They're like, how do I get in New York City? How do I get on the radio? How do I get on, you know, in the clubs? Or they're like, I want to do Rolling Loud, but don't know anything about booking agencies. So it's like,
So when you say the artists or a local artist lack knowledge, you say on the business end.
yeah,
You
I
know
think
what I
more
mean?
on the business. I think creativity is like, you can't really lack knowledge on it because it's really something that's from within. But I think on the business end, there's not enough people that really like have that knowledge in Long Island. I don't think there's any place that teaches it. Like, I really think it's just something that you have to go out and like really absorb. And for us in the suburbs, it's like, unless you're going to the city all the time to the shows and meeting people, it's a lot. And also, I notice in Long Island, like, there's not as many people that are like trying to be on the business side. Like, a lot more people are trying to be creative than are trying to be like dot connectors.
Now, half the battle's connecting the dots too, because
Yeah.
you don't realize the one dot to the next dot could lead to 5 dots ahead, and you just skipped a row. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Like, I mean, I've met a couple people. Like, there are some people that are pretty good at it that, like, you know, like, shout out to my man Austin. Like, he's kind of out here.
Austin, the manager.
Yeah,
shout
so
Shout
like,
out him, man.
so Austin's been getting started with it, and he's like working at a label, getting experience that way, you know, working with different artists, kind of, you know, getting his feet wet as far as like trying management with different people. Maybe like for example, I don't want to say, like, I don't know who his clients are, but like I know he's helped somebody like myself just as much as he's helped somebody like a Polo Hayes, right? So it's like we do completely different stuff, Polo and I. And Austin tries to contribute to both, you know, however he can. And I think that's really what I was doing early on, that, like, you know, it helped me learn. Like, I worked with Rosenberg, but I also studied how artists move. And radio personalities and artists are completely different. So, I mean, my boy Kenny does, like, really good events. Shout out to guys that do Earwax. They do fucking amazing
Hell
events.
yeah. Shout out to
Shout
them.
out DA Rocks.
Yeah,
All
DA,
EB.
that's my guy. Shout
All
out
of them.
DA.
Shout out. Hell yeah.
But my thing is, like, we have to bring it all together. So, like, I think everybody individually does it great. But, like, if you go to LA, it's like TDE will be close with a lot of YG's camp, with a lot of, you know, Kendrick's camp. Like, I mean, Kendrick camp is TDE, but with, who am I thinking? Who else is the group from out in LA? There's so many.
I know Shoreline Mafia.
Shoreline, like, but they all kind of like represent, like, they're like, fuck it, we're from Cali, like,
Yeah.
we're gonna put on for each other.
It's more like a big circle instead of like, here's a circle here, here's a circle
Yeah,
here, here's
yeah.
a circle
look
here.
at Snoop and Game, like,
Yeah.
look at Nipsey, like, everybody, like, despite the gangs, despite everything, it's like, we're LA,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
we don't have that here. We have, like, we're Highbridge, we're Queens, we're Brooklyn. We don't have like a New York, like, this is New York, you know what I mean? And Long Island, we don't have, even in Long Island, like, a Highbridge. You know, it's like Brentwood does some stuff, CI does some stuff, but we're not out here like 631 516. We're out here like pockets. And honestly, I think we were set up for it. Like, because when I went to schools in the city, it's like I went to school with kids that were from Queens that would bus in or take the train into Brooklyn to go to high school. Like, here, you're with the same group of people from kindergarten through 12th grade. So it's like we're almost set up to be segregated as far as that's concerned. I think breaking that mentality for the greater good is tough because, like I said, it's hard for somebody like Austin to do everything. It's hard for me to do everything. It's hard for DA and Earwax and those guys to do everything. You know, it's hard for Biscuit to do everything. And after a while, you start feeling like, you know what? Where is this coming together? So, like, for me personally, I think we have the best talent in the world. Like, I think kids like Johnny Drama, like Polo Hayes, like Yuri,
Shout out to all
like
that.
Live Like Davis, I think they're examples of, like, we have some of the best fucking talent there is, period. But we need to also make sure that we're educating each other and that we're listening to each other and that people aren't like, oh, no, I got it. You want to eat off me. I want to eat off. Like, we need to put the egos aside in Long Island for sure.
Yes.
No, for sure.
Damn, 5 minutes into it and you're dropping like gems left and right.
Yo, listen, I try my best. I'm getting texts from Atlantic Records right now. They're trying to set me up with an interview with what's it called? What is
Inside
it?
scoop right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, listen, Maxwell Creme. Next interview might be Maxwell Creme. That'd be lit.
That's lit. Hey, oh yeah, bro. This guy's out here making big moves. You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying. I could focus on 50 things at once, though. Talk to me. What's up?
I'm starting to get confused just looking at you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, nah, this is like what life's become, man. Like,
yeah.
it's, to be honest, I do the same thing, and it's a problem. Like, for me, building out radio. I'm managing my own shit. I do, like, we just talked about production. Like, I produce all my interviews. I book everybody myself. And, like, literally today I went to a meeting with Davis at a record label, and we're sitting there, and it's like 7-8 people in this room, and it's like the PR person, the marketing person, the salesperson, the president, the A&R, like, you know, just everybody that's kind of part of what would make an artist kind of go. And up until this point, like, I've been doing every one of those parts by myself for the most part, and like, low key, and I said the same thing to Davis, is like falling a little short on it. Like, not in the sense of like I've been able to really build out a foundation with Davis that's like solid, because
He's popping.
well, yeah, he's got the music. Like, the music is hands down amazing. Like, it sticks. It's great music. And then on the flip side, it's like I know how to promote. I connect with like really good people. I'm fortunate that I have people that support me, that want to hit me up to do stuff. So it's like we've been able to get it to a point where it's like, all right, he has a distribution situation. You know, the publicity's under control, but like I'm not a publicist. So it's like I could set up some things, but not everything. And I think a lot of times for me, when it's come to radio, is like I don't have a publicist because I'm able to do it myself. But I fall short because doing it yourself while marketing yourself, while editing audio, it's a lot. So it's like you have to be open to having a team. And I think we don't have a lot of people that love doing what they do. Like, there's not a lot of people that are like, I live to be a publicist. They're like, I like doing PR, but like I also want to be a rapper, or I want to do. So it's like trying to figure everything out is crazy. And like even right now, I'm getting like tons of calls, booking all my own interviews. It's a distraction. Like, so I urge anybody watching this, anybody that's tuned in, like, go out and find people to take your calls so you're completely focused on your interviews and not learning to multitask.
So when I'm doing the podcast, obviously I ask my own personal questions.
Okay.
But I also like to get into the head of the audience.
All right.
And try to figure out what they would be thinking or what they would want to ask you.
Okay.
To most of the people watching this. So with that being said, what does it take for a local artist to get an interview from Hip Hop Mike?
You got to be popping. Fuck out of here.
Straight to fucking business.
Real shit. You got to be popping. Like, I mean, it depends. Like, you could do an interview. I do a show that's like online. You could pay for an interview if you want. I don't suggest it, like, unless it makes perfect sense with your rollout plan. If you want to interview on Hot 97, you got to make sense to be on Hot 97. Like, plain and simple. I mean, if you ask what makes sense, I'd say, like, you have to have people behind your shit. Like, you have to have a little bit of a movement at least. I don't really give a shit about the followers, but more so just, like, the traction. Like, for example, there's a girl out here named Telly Zelly. Got, like, 1,200 followers now. Her page got deleted. She's still making mad noise, going viral all the fucking time. Her comments are hundreds of comments. You doing something. Like, it's bubbling, you know? There's a lot of artists out here that's like, I have this, and that, but nobody's tuned in. So, like, why would I want to put it on the radio so people could not tune into me? You know? So it's just like, it has to make sense, you know? And you got to be prepared. Like, if you're not, you know, in line as far as, like, having all your business covered, if you don't have music on Shazam and Spotify and all these DSPs, the digital streaming platforms, like, if you're not doing shows, like, you have to be able to at least do a little bit of everything. I'm not saying you have to be out here, like, on TV going crazy, but, like, you know, if I was going to do a festival tomorrow, I would call DA and partner with Earwax and do some shit, because they've consistently proven to do great shows. Right? So it's like, for me to do something with an artist, you got to have consistency. Like, you have to have done shows, have some music out, you know, have some traction.
People don't realize, I feel like there's a lot, it's all give and take. They just want to take what they got from you, but they don't realize they have to give you something in return, which is their poppin' music, their sellability, how much traction they got. That's the give and take of it, right? Like, more or less.
It's just got to be more than poppin' music. Like, I think there's so much music that it's like when people are like, I'm up next, I'm like, well, what makes you up next? Because I know for me and Davis to be doing what we're doing, to be up next is taking a lot of work. And it's like, you got to show that you're built for it, because if I'm going to sit you down at Hot 97, put a camera on you and put you on their YouTube, and they got 1 million followers, and my boss is like, who the fuck is this? I need to be able to be like, well, they just did this that makes sense, or they just did this, or this is coming and it has this feature, or there's got to be something that you could talk about. I have Johnny Drama coming up next week. Johnny Drama is out here doing touring. He has records out. He has features. He's done shit in Long Island. I know he knows how to engineer. I want to talk to you. You know, at the same time, there's also artists out here that don't have none of that. And it's like, I know what people are saying. I know y'all looking at it like, well, Drama's on a label. Well, why is Drama on a label? Because he did all that shit.
The track record speaks for itself just as much as the music does.
Yeah, you have to have a good, like, reputation, a good rapport. You have to be consistent. Like, I have to see that there's potential for you to actually, you know, go. Like, and I don't mean go like I'm looking for the next Drake. I'm saying, like, at least let me see that you could get to a level where you're at least doing what, like, a Drama is doing. Where it's like, you know, you're putting things together in a way that it looks very presentable and it's consistent. And it's like, I could explain it. You know, like I said, at the end of the day, Hot 87 is the #1 station in the world. There's a reason I charge for the other station. It's because it's such a small station that it's like my time to do all this stuff. It's like, that's what it adds up to. Hot 87 pays me to put together great shows. So it's like, I get that you think you're great, and I get that your friends think you're great, but it's like you don't have enough friends that are out here making noise for you then, or something's not hitting. Because if it, you know, like, I'm open to I've had artists on my show, like I said, Drama's coming next week. Like, I've had artists come out like Polo. Polo is a dude that he's not on a label, like, but he's also done tons of engineering. He's done tons of shit for Harry Fraud and for those artists. Like, has helped me tremendously with Davis with recording, has done shows, has put me on to other artists. Like, it's just got to be more than, like, I have a good song and look how cool I am.
Makes sense.
That one should look right into the camera when you say that.
Yo, real shit. On the flip side, like, I dubbed, like, I was hit up really early about Tekashi 6ix9ine to do an interview, and I dubbed him because I didn't see the vision. I thought it was too crazy. I thought it was messy, and, like, he blew the fuck up. I have no regrets about not doing it. It's just, it didn't make sense for me. I passed on Tekka. I didn't think Tekka was going to go so crazy. I was slacking on setting that up. Now he's out here. I wish I would have sat with Tekka. But at the same time, I've also met Tekka here and there, and he doesn't really say much. So I don't know. Like, maybe it wasn't the timing, but I've, you know, turned down interviews with people like a Tekka that, yeah, he blew the fuck up. He had the record crazy go. Yeah, he did have a little movement, but at the time that I was talking to them, I didn't really see it. So it's like, you know, sometimes it comes back, bites me in the ass, but other times it works out, like with a lot of people you got on that list.
No, it's crazy. Like, it's, you know, you go back to the Stretch and Bobbito days, and you think of those two guys, and they didn't record Biggie's freestyle on their shit. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a
lot. Like, people don't realize it's to do an interview. It takes time. Like, it's not just like, yo, let me pull up and be on your show, and we go live, and that's it. Like, for you to pull up, I got to drive an hour into the city outside of times that I'm getting paid to be doing anything. I got to go open up a studio. I got to make sure that, you know, everything is set up, like, as far as microphones, the recording is happening at the other station to back up. So it's like I have to coordinate a ton of shit. Then you sit down with the artist, you record 30 minutes, you know, 20, 30 minutes. You only end up using like 7 of them. So it's like, yeah, now you have to take all this raw audio, listen through again. So now it's like you already put an hour into the drive. You put half hour into recording. You put 10 minutes into setup. You put another half hour into editing. You're like 2.5 hours just to do one interview. So it's like, yeah. And it's like, if I see that you're doing, again, like if I see that you're somebody like Drama that has potential to go do great things, I want to support and put that time into supporting your shit, because it's like I see the hustle. But if I'm just like putting 2.5 hours into this for you to just be like, I'm fucking lit, look at me, ha ha ha, I'm at Hot 97, I don't give a shit. I don't need clout. Like I got enough clout behind the scenes that I'm like not concerned with like getting a tag or a shout out on the gram. Like I want good quality shit.
Now I know you learned a lot from Rosenberg. Like he was like the guy like that kind of brought you up, right, in a sense, more or less. Now what is like would a guy like that he kind of take you on, I mean, tutelage and all this shit? How important do you think that is to have someone like that, a pillar in a sense, and following them? Like do like people seem to not realize that in your eyes? You see a lot.
Rosenberg changed my life for sure, but at the same time, I've definitely done a lot to help him with his career.
Absolutely,
so it's like
it's for sure.
I think at the same time as like Rosenberg has helped me a lot, and like yes, it's super essential to have somebody kind of like be that gatekeeper and open up the door, or like try and set you up. You have to be worthy of the shit. Like plain and simple. Like I didn't know if I was in a DJ. I didn't know what the fuck I was trying to do. I just know I wanted to be around music, and my intention was like having no intention. Like I remember, 4 years into working with Rosenberg, we were in LA. It was like me, him, and his brother were sitting outside the Airbnb, and they're like, you know what, fuck with you because you don't have any intentions with this shit. You just like being around shit. And it's the truth. And I think really I was able to get the education because I shut up and listened. So it's like, as much as it is great to have somebody around that does that, I think anybody could be around whoever the fuck they want. Like really, if you're a nice, hardworking kid, right, guy or girl, whatever, and you go to somebody that's super lit and is like, can I help you for free? And you're a nice kid, like why would anybody say no? But if they look at you and it's like, oh, well, what do they want out of this? That's the only reason, like, I would ever, because I've had a couple different assistants, and I'll tell you straight up, like, one assistant fucking was, like, 17 years old, like, wasn't on top of his shit, just had too much fun at the event, lost the car, like, it was a whole thing. So, like, I couldn't work with him. Next assistant, like, went and fucking started making music and doing all this shit and was, like, coming to a radio station, like, playing their music and, like, taking video. I'm like, don't need that. The third one was like the best one was Tam Jam. Shout out to Tam Jam. Tam Jam was amazing. Didn't fucking expect shit. Just loved coming to events. Loved helping. Was always like super whatever she could do to help. Cool. She ended up like moving and getting like a different job and all that stuff. But like no foul intention. I wish I could still work with her. Like if I had the bread, I would pay her to be full time. Then after that, I had an assistant, this girl that wanted to be on fucking radio, but like didn't want to learn about radio, just wanted to be on. So the first opportunity to get on, went, did that. That shit I'm hearing isn't going too well. And then it's like the last kid I had was really good, but just super scatterbrained and scrambled and wasn't like focused on like the job. So it's like, it's not easy. But again, it goes like the same thing I was saying about artists before, is just like if you're consistent, if you're focused, if your goal is to really like do things that make sense, because my goal wasn't to be on radio. My goal was to be like, to help Rosenberg be the best he could fucking be. And by the time he was like, all right, like I'm the best I could be, I'm doing ESPN, I'm doing Hot, I was like, all right, I'm bored now. Like now what can I do? And that's when I started really easing into doing interviews and radio, because before that I was like, yo, if you need me, that's what I'm here for.
No, and that's the genuineness behind it is what like he saw in you over maybe the last guy who asked him, hey, can I help you out or whatever and shit like that.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that goes a long, long way, more so than, a fancy handshake and a nice shirt. You know what I'm saying?
It took time. It took 3 years. Like I ran into him year after year, but in between those years, I didn't spam his shit. Like I hit him up once on MySpace when I was in a group home, like way back in the day, from his library, whatever. Yeah, I hit him on MySpace. Like I hit everybody,
Time
right?
warp.
He's the only one that wrote back. I got out. I went to a show. I won tickets to a show. Snuck backstage. Met him in person. Was like, I wanted to work with him. Curved me. Was like, go to school. Right there, anybody else is gonna be like, oh, like, what's up though? Like back on the MySpace every couple weeks. Like, what's up? What's up? What's up? I'm in school. I'm at school. What's up? I sincerely tried to go to school. I didn't bother him. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to school, and then after doing a significant amount of school, I'll reach out again. School didn't work out. I dropped the fuck out. Ran into him again the next year. We hadn't spoken a whole year. Like it wasn't like I was on top of him, like, yo, help me, help me, help me. I was like, by the time I saw him a year later, I was like, yo, like, this is what's going on. This is what I'm doing. It's like the school stuff. I'm trying, but it's not working. I'm focused on X, Y. And like we were able to catch up without it being uncomfortable for anybody. Another year goes by. I try to go back to school because he told me to go back to school. I fucked it up again. But again, in that next year, it wasn't like, hey, I'm in school and I hate it. Hey, this. I didn't bother him with my shit. I took his advice and I did the best I could. By the third year, it's like you got a kid here that could have been driving you crazy over all this time, never fucking bothered you, never asked for tickets, never asked for shit, never hit him up on some funny shit like, hey, I heard your show, what's up, ha ha ha. Like, I let the man live his life, if it makes sense, it makes sense. If it don't, it don't. Like, not every relationship makes sense, not every friendship makes sense. So you gotta just be genuine, and you'll gravitate to who you gotta gravitate to. Because after I started working for Rosenberg, like, damn near everybody in the building has offered me to work with them, and I stay with him because we got that rapport.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. Stay genuine, stay persistent, and it's corny, but like, if shit's meant to be, if shit's gonna work out, it's gonna work out. Yeah. And if it's not, we're meant to do it.
Everything plays out how it's supposed to. You just like, karma works two ways, it's not just like bad. It's like you could also do the right thing and good shit'll happen. It's just like, be patient and persistent.
Absolutely.
Being in radio, and especially hip-hop radio, like, I have a question I feel like it's really important to ask you. So I've been having conversations just like casually with people about like the future of hip-hop and where hip-hop's going. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, every time I ask someone, everyone's telling me bars are coming back and it's going to happen. Me personally, I feel like this trap rap, this swag rap, I feel like it's going to be here to stay, at least for a while. So what do you think? Like, what's the future of hip-hop?
I don't know what the fuck goes on. Nah, I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Just personal opinion.
Nobody knows what's going to happen. I'm sure bars will come back at some point.
I hope
have
bars
you been hearing that, though?
Came back at some point. Like, everything comes back.
But, like, have you been hearing that? Like, yo, bars are going to come back. I'm telling you, bro. Like, I don't think so.
I don't think hip-hop exists anymore. Like, I don't know what the fuck genre we're in right now, but there's so much different stuff. And I always say, I'll put it in terms of like race, right? Because there's like so many people, black and white, this and that. And I always said, like, if you lined everybody in the world up, right, by the color of their skin, like, where do you draw the line? Like, at what point is it like, this is black and this is white? Like, it's going to be so blurry, you'll never be able to fucking know. It's the same thing with hip-hop. It's like, how are you going to say that, like, Lil Nas X isn't hip-hop, but like Fab is hip-hop, but like Post is hip-hop? Like, there's so much. I don't know where the fuck it's going to go. And I think with the internet, bars are probably already back somewhere. Like, there's probably somewhere where people are fucking off the bars, like real shit. Like, Joey Badass has a whole fan base. You know what I mean? Like, one of the big artists, Bronson, has a huge fan base. So it's like, bars are here already. It's just not the mainstream thing. I don't think it's the mainstream thing because I think people that are smart enough to write like super bars and are like really on that time, I think they're harder to market. I think it's tougher to kind of like get easy wins off them because they're maybe a little more conscious than people that are kind of just straight mumble rapping, not really, like, not that every mumble rapper isn't educated, but there's like a handful of mumble rappers that we know are out here living reckless, that are on drugs, that are just doing dumb shit. When you have an artist that's on drugs doing dumb shit, like, that's the easiest type of artist that's gonna sign paperwork, right?
Yeah,
so it's like, if you're a big label or a big company, like, I wouldn't say that majors, like, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I'm just saying in general. If there's two types of people, right? There's selfish people and there's selfless people. If you're one of the selfless people that runs a label, maybe you sign a Joey Badass. If you're a selfish person that runs a label, maybe you sign somebody that's just going to sign whatever the fuck and has this action online. So it's like more selfish people than selfless people these days. More artists coming up that aren't as educated in their business. But you see, all of them, they end up complaining about management, complaining about labels. It's like, there's no way to tell what's going to go, because I guarantee you if literally tomorrow Cardi B came out and was like, I'm going to spit bars and here's my new record with Jay-Z and we spit bars, the whole fucking industry is going to try and figure out how to make money off it. And if they do, bars will be back like that.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
If there's a way to make more money off bars than there is off trap, like that.
That's the fucking hard truth of the whole thing, is the industry really runs it anyways. Doesn't matter if bars are back or not. They'll make it back if they want to make it back.
Yeah. I think the space we're moving into, though, is dope because it's like you don't necessarily need majors anymore. So I think that's interesting. Like I think music is becoming more organic. Like it started out super organic and then it got very like markety and like commercial, and it still is very like markety and commercial, but I think it's working towards a place again where people are just doing what they want.
Word.
Which that's cool. So I'm curious to see like what sound comes from all of that, but who knows what's gonna be in style,
Fucking
yo.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll
couple of
definitely
years,
find
we'll
out.
find out.
Now, this segment I like to call the Core Four, and this is the 4 questions I feel every hip-hop artist, even though you're not a hip-hop artist, you're hip-hop Mike,
Alright.
you need to have the answers ready to at all times. So the first question in the Core 4 is being, what's your top 5?
Fuck you. Dylon, bro.
Yo,
That's such a shit question. That's not a question everybody should be able to answer. all the time.
Absolutely, it should be.
No, why?
Because
Why?
top 5 says a lot about you.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't say shit.
All right, you top 5 right now, just for fun. Then I didn't ask you the question.
But this is my point. Is right now my top 5 is gonna be different than what it is in an hour. Right now my top 5 is fucking like I was listening to White Stripes on the way here.
So that's your hour by hour top 5. Let's
So,
hear your hour by
yeah,
hour top 5,
That's
bro.
what I'm saying. It's impossible. How does it say?
All right.
It can't say a lot about you if it changes constantly.
It says you're a changing person.
Yeah, I mean, as you should be. If you're in music, you should like everything.
All right, so you're dubbing the top 5 questions.
I mean, yeah, I can't. Like, it's damn near impossible.
All right.
Because, I mean, I'll say consistently in my top 5 is Nas,
Okay.
but not even necessarily because of music, more so just because my history of, like, where Nas, like,
Yeah.
really led me to be at. Like,
Okay. So we'll just say it's a top 1.
yeah, Nas.
All right,
That's
no.
it. But Nas isn't my favorite rapper.
Okay. Let me ask you this one. This is going to be a little bit different one. You might
All
have
right.
to get diplomatic with this one.
All right,
Biggie or
all
Pac?
Biggie. Brooklyn.
That's
Pac's a
it.
better rapper, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I said it.
For the kids in the back, say it a little louder. The kids at home.
Biggie had the swag, though. Biggie's my favorite for sure. I actually came across Pac before I came across Big. I was a Pac fan before Big fan.
Word.
Yeah.
Right on. Fucking the more you know, right? Straight up.
Yeah.
Uh,
Definitely Big.
Best rap group.
That's a tough one. Off top, I'd say Tribe, but then like very seconds, like Far Side, Outkast. Bro, I like. There's days where I fuck with Cellar Dwellers though. Like you
Okay.
never know.
Yeah,
Like,
all right,
that's
right
it.
on.
It's so hard to just pick.
So I'll let the whole culmination was a sick answers anyway. So fuck it.
I'm sorry,
But it's no big
I
deal.
wish I could be more.
This-
Days
this-
I like Ray Shremmerd.
Okay, I feel it. Yeah, that's right. That is a group. The last one, I guess you kind of answered with the first one, but who's the GOAT?
The GOAT, Drake.
Oh, word, right on. Fucking A. What puts Drake over Nas in your eyes?
I mean, honestly, I'd say it's more between Drake and Hove. The reason I say Drake is because I think his execution is fucking flawless.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, there's anybody that I'm like super skeptical and like I'm very on top of like their business and everything. Like I watch and study the shit. It's Drake, and it's different. Like he's just a different machine, bro. Like
I have to agree with
there's
you.
nobody that's fucking ran through this game like Drake ran through this game.
No, it's true. It was fucking. He just fucking started steamrolling fucking
Straight up.
accomplishments as soon as he came out of the
It's
gate.
his squad. It's not
yeah.
just him. It's
Yeah.
40. That whole OVO camp.
Yeah,
but,
it's
like,
ridiculous. They're churning out shit over there like
Mhm.
butter.
Yeah, 40's really the GOAT. Let's be honest. But like, nah, Drake definitely like that whole OVO camp #1 for sure. To this point, we don't know. Lil Nas X has got a good spark right now. You never know
It's
what,
crazy.
what the fuck is
It's
happening.
crazy. You really do never know. Well, thank you for answering the core 3 questions. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? And that ends that segment. Fucking A, that was sweet.
There's anything I could leave people with when it comes to the music industry is like that shit will fuck your head up, and the more you get into it, like the deeper you get, it's very easy to just not be centered. So like make sure that as much work as you're putting into whatever creative outlet you have, whether it's music or podcast or anything, as it grows, really, make sure that you're doing shit that makes you happy, make sure that you're thinking positively, make sure that you're not letting it stress you. Because it's very easy to get discouraged in this game, and it's like I find a lot of peace in just not giving a fuck at this point. Like there was a time where I cared so much and it drove me crazy, and I was half as productive caring about all this extra shit as opposed to just being like, you know what, fuck all this shit I don't have control over. I'm gonna just do what I could do, and like it works out better. So definitely work on the mental health shit.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Big Sean.
Shout out.
Shout out. Well, yo, it's been real, man.
Yeah, dude.
Yo,
Been
I
awesome you
appreciate
coming
y'all.
out.
Thank you so much coming out, man. We appreciate
But
it.
before we wrap things up, do you like giving an interview or do you like being interviewed more?
I probably prefer to be interviewed, I guess. I
You're
don't
an
know.
interesting dude, man.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't love interviewing people. Like, I like talking to people, but interviewing people is different. Some people it's cool, but like other people it feels very pressed. And-
Pulling information out of them and shit. Like,
Well,
shit
I
like
think
that.
people are like excited to talk about their shit. It's just like I'm very big on like intention and just genuine energy, and it's like you'll meet artists that like you could tell that they just don't give a fuck, or you could tell that they're just hyped to be at the station, but they don't give a shit about you or the show. That's why I say I charge for certain interviews, like not Hot 97 ones, but for the internet ones, because my thing is like, all right, you're trying to build out your brand, right? Like Davis is almost at the point where we're about to start doing interviews. He has a couple records out, has videos out, has traction on the gram, a good following, good distribution, has all the pieces, right? Now it's like, now we're going to start doing interviews, and he has things to talk about, and it just continues the traction. A lot of people, they have one song and they're like, let's do an interview. And I'm like, for what? Like, what is that? Is this interview to promote that one song? And then, all right, you get a couple of hits on that song, and then what? Like, an interview really is more than just promoting one thing. Like, it should be promoting
It's a stepping stone for
a
your
story
building.
of some sort. Yeah, like, even if it's not promoting, like, the story for an artist. Like, the first time I had Guap Dad up, it's like, hey, tell me the story about who you are, where you come from. Cool. Second time he comes up, it's not like, hey, tell me the story about who you are, where you come from. It's like, tell me the story about this album you've created, or tell me the story behind this video that's going crazy. Or so it's like there should be more than just like, hey, I'm so-and-so from here and I have a song. Because then I'm carrying the interview, and then it's just like people see through bullshit.
Absolutely. Fucking big
That's
facts.
a great
That's
way to
another
end it off.
fucking.
People see through bullshit.
Don't even say goodbye. Just look away. No.
But hey, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Just for the rest of the thing.
But we do appreciate you
Yeah,
coming
thank
out
you
and
very
spending your
much,
time with
man.
us.
Yeah.
It does mean a lot to get someone like you to support what we do.
Appreciate
Not
it,
much
man.
love. I appreciate y'all showing me so much love, yo, and
Hell yeah.
keep doing what you do. This shit's dope.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
Much love. We gotta get Live Like Davis up here.
Hell yeah.
And more Amina. I'm sneaking that one on too.
Come through, guys.